SummerSlam 2020 is the first SummerSlam in the pandemic era, and it took place August 23rd, 2020, from the sold-out Thunderdome in Tampa, Florida. Sold out by choice with all the TV monitors there. Hi guys, I'm Brett Mix, Macho Wrestling 101. Hit like and subscribe if you like the history of wrestling videos, such as the SummerSlam anthology that I'm doing right now. I also stay up to date with Raw, SmackDown, and every other event. So if you subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate that. If you're just watching the SummerSlam review, well, welcome to this edition. We have started out with a SmackDown Women's Championship on the line between Bayley, and she has Sasha Banks with her against Asuka. This match was really good. Asuka controlled the first part of it. Then Bayley worked on Asuka's leg, and Asuka tried to fight back, but Bayley just kept the game plan on her leg the whole match. Sasha Banks also got involved in the climax of the match. This was the first of two Asuka matches for the women's title. She had a chance to get the SmackDown and the Raw Women's Championship on this night. Banks was at ringside. Asuka hit a spinning kick on Bayley with her injured leg, the other leg that wasn't injured, I should say. Banks tried to swipe, but Asuka avoided it. Bayley with a roll-up and got two. Asuka with a running hip attack. Bayley moved and Asuka knocked Sasha Banks off the apron to the floor, which confused Asuka. Bayley then got an inside cradle and won the match at 11:35 to retain her title. This was a fine women's match. I rated 3 stars and a quarter to open up SummerSlam 2020. After the match, Sasha Banks and Bayley went at Asuka and continued to tear her apart after her loss, and weakened her for her match later in the night with Sasha Banks. So that was the motive for the beatdown post-match after Bayley retained her title. And again, a 3-star and a quarter opener. Next up, we had a tag team match when the Raw tag team titles were on the line between the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, taking on Andrade and Angel Garza, who had Zelina Vega at ringside. This was a decent tag team match. It went both ways. A lot of good counter wrestling in this one. A lot of good high-flying moves. It didn't get as much time as the opener got. This got 750 to work with. This also had the manager, Zelina Vega, on the apron getting knocked to the floor. So it's the second match in a row a woman manager has been knocked from the apron to the floor as Vega was distracting on the apron. Garza super kicked Montez into the Ford, and this knocked Vega off the apron. Ford avoided a move. Andrade checked on Vega. Dawkins hit the cash out on Garza, and Ford tagged in with the frog splash off the top rope for the pinfall for the Profits at 750 as they are the victors. Give the match 2.5 stars. It was fine for the time given, but just a bit on the short side. Doesn't get into the classic territory on pay-per-view. There wasn't too much of a story told. Just good back and forth wrestling good back and forth tag wrestling. Next up, we had a hardcore women's match, no disqualification, loser leaves WWE match between Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. Both Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose avoided a real-life scare at the time. I remember there was a headline about some freak who wanted to abduct both of them. I forgot about the guy's name because he doesn't matter. He's just a meaningless waste of life, waste of skin. But I'm glad both ladies made it out of that situation unharmed. And this was sort of a match that they shared together after that event that was stressful on both, I imagine. Back to the storylines. Rose and Deville both wrestled a good match here. I think it beat anybody's expectations. They give them 10 minutes to work, and there was a lot of entertainment involved. Rose hit 2 running knees to the face. She hit a third running knee and then picked up Deville, hooking the arms and hitting her with a sit-out slam. Rose hit another running knee for the base for pinfall at 10:05, so they gave Mandy the win as Sonya Deville lost, and she'd later become the GM. I give this ladies match 3 stars, and again, I'm just happy that both ladies were okay, and they're still okay, because that was certainly a scary situation, and you never like to see that. That happened right before this match. Not right before the match, but it happened within the same month. Next up, we had a street fight between Seth Rollins and Dominic Mysterio with Rey Mysterio, as this is Dominic's big-time debut here. Dominic wrestled in traditional tights. This was a guy that is going to take him to the take him to the promised land, Seth Rollins, so to speak, give him a great match. And Seth Rollins was a total pro in there. He led the way with so many spots. It started off a little bit slower where they were calling the shots, but this one it got going in a big time way. Buddy Murphy was a part of it. Rey Mysterio was a part of it on the outside, of course. We had 6 shots. We had scars by Rollins to Dominic Mysterio. He opened up the wounds that he had from weeks before from Raw's attack, the attack on Raw. Ray was trying to be a protective father at parts. Dominic sent Rollins into the steel steps. Dominic with a back body drop on Murphy and a 619 style on Rollins on the apron. Seth went to the apron. Dominic hit a 619 on the ropes. Dominic went up top for his frog splash again, but Rollins got to his knees and blocked it. Rollins then taunted Ray, who was cuffed to the ropes at the time. Rollins hit the stomp on Dominic and pinned Dominic right in front of his father at 22:35. Winner by pinfall, Seth Rollins. Give the match 3.5 stars. It lived up to the billing. It was an excellent match. I thought Dominic did as well as he could have done. I was pretty impressed, but it was Seth Rollins who was calling the shots in there, being the total pro and veteran that he is. So, nice win by Rollins and an impressive performance for sure. Next up, we had Raw, the Women's Championship on the line. Now, this is Sasha Banks and Asuka. Asuka getting it hit revenge on Sasha for the beatdown earlier. Banks immediately took down Asuka by going for that left leg that was injured. Asuka hit a spin kick with her good leg to knock Banks down, followed by a sliding forearm. Asuka was selling the leg big time here. Banks with a running boot to the face got a 2. That was a close near fall. Asuka slapped on the knee bar onto the right leg, which led to an ankle lock of her own, but Banks got out of it by sending Asuka into the exposed turnbuckle. Asuka hit a DDT off the turnbuckle. Asuka pulled Banks out of the corner, but then Banks hit double knees to face counter that and got a 2 count. Banks went up top. She jumped off with a frog splash, and Asuka moved out of the ring. Bayley encouraged Banks by telling her she's got this, as Sasha Banks had Bayley in her corner, as just it was the opposite earlier when Bayley had Sasha Banks in her corner earlier in the night. Bayley avoided the hip attack on the apron, so she didn't get knocked off the apron, not having a third woman knocked off the apron. But Asuka came back with a fist to knock Bayley down. Asuka slapped the Asuka lock on Banks, and Banks tapped out as Bayley was out on the outside. And Banks tapped out to Asuka, giving her the title win via submission at 11:20. So the new Raw Women's Champion was Asuka. Bayley didn't get hit off the apron like the other ladies, but she did get knocked down on the outside. And this allowed just Asuka to take on Banks, and the Asuka lock became too much for Sasha. So this match I rate 3 stars and 3/4. I thought it was a great match that was entertaining for the time it was given. Maybe Asuka should have sold the leg a little bit more, considering she was in 2 matches and suffered a beatdown. But at the end of the day, that's just nitpicking. Asuka delivered 2 great matches in one SummerSlam. She's Bret the Hitman Hart all of a sudden from 1993. But no, these matches were great. And Bayley and Sasha Banks, you can't pick 2 better women to have them with. And Asuka, she's just right there with them talent-wise. So, great match. Borderline classic because they got a lot of time to work. So, a great match. 11 minutes and 20 seconds, and it flew by. 3 stars and 3/4 for that. Up next, we got the WWE Championship on the line when Drew McIntyre took it on Randy Orton. These two have been having a great feud as of late. They had the ambulance match. They had the Raw match. And SummerSlam, Orton was the challenger as McIntyre was the face defending champion who was carrying the WWE through the pandemic days, the dark days. McIntyre slapped on the figure 4 leg lock in a tribute to Ric Flair during this match. Orton had recently punted down a bunch of legends earlier in the night, so McIntyre was wrestling for them as well, not just to retain his title. The two exchanged punches in the climax. McIntyre hit another belly-to-belly overhead suplex across the ring as the Thunderdome would chant and cheer. McIntyre went up top and jumped off with a clothesline, which led to a kip up, and then another hard chop to the chest of Orton. McIntyre continued the offense and avoided a clothesline and hit a future shock DDT for a near fall. Orton was bleeding above his eyebrow at the time. McIntyre avoided the draping DDT by Orton as he got back in control, and Drew hit a clothesline to knock them both out of the ring to the floor. Orton with a boot while McIntyre was on the ropes, and there's a draping DDT by Orton eventually. That led to Orton setting him up for the RKO, but McIntyre stayed down. Orton stepped back and made faces with the punt attempt, but Drew got back up and hit a powerbomb to counter. McIntyre, this was great counter wrestling in this match. McIntyre wanted Orton to get up as he set up in the corner for the Claymore. Drew looked intense as McIntyre waited for the Claymore, but Orton ducked it. McIntyre countered with a backslide pinfall to counter his RKO attempt at 20:36, and Drew McIntyre retains the title by pinning Orton at 20:36. Just an awesome tilt we got between these two. Definitely great counter wrestling all throughout. They both men avoided each other's finishers in the whole 20-plus minute match, which is a rare occasion. You don't see that very often. I give the match 4 stars, and I think it was the match of the night. So, good job for Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. They have good chemistry. But next, we got the main event of the evening, the Universal Championship, with Braun Strowman defending against The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. These two also had their number of matches. They had the Swamp match. Then they're meeting finally here at SummerSlam to settle the score in a Falls Count Anywhere match. So we expect this to be a short brawl, as it's a Fiend match and it's also a Strowman match. So we don't expect a very long, drawn-out match, but it did go 12:02, so they both got their time to do their offense. Strowman hit a bunch of his power moves in the start. Strowman shoved The Fiend into the edge of the ring apron. Strowman with a clubby blow to the chest of The Fiend, and then got a 2 count on the floor. Strowman picked up The Fiend in the ring and hit a running power slam, only good for a 2 count. This isn't the climax. Strowman was frustrated that he couldn't get the 3, so he went to the toolbox and got a box cutter knife with his hands. Strowman sliced up the mat to pull off some of the cushioning under the mat and exposing the wood that's there. The Fiend got back up and gave Strowman their slam on the wood. Fiend hit the Sister Abigail on Strowman as well. Fiend hit the Sister Abigail on the exposed wood beneath the ring canvas and covered for the pinfall at 12:02 and became the new Universal Champion. So a 3-star match, a great brawl this was. Roman Reigns came by at the end, and this event had the tagline, "You'll never see it coming." I guess they're talking about Roman Reigns' return and his heel turn. This is where he beat down The Fiend, and Roman Reigns just came back with new chiclets, new dentures, and this is the debut of the trash-talking Roman Reigns we know today. I think he even said to The Fiend, "You can't handle this. You can't do what I do. You can't handle..." And he's talking about being champion. And I just thought that was a start to something promising. We didn't know that Reigns had turned heel when this happened, but we knew that it was the start of a new Roman character, which is something we didn't see coming. So they stuck true to that cheesy tagline. And the event, for it taking place during the pandemic, it has its highs, it has its lows. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I thought the Drew McIntyre match was the match of the night. I thought the ending was neat with Roman and The Fiend winning. I thought Asuka's 2 matches were great. They also had a decent opener, and the Dominic-Seth Rollins match was solid. So 7 out of 10 seems about right for this SummerSlam. Impressive for a pandemic show from the Thunderdome. And we'll see what SummerSlam 2021 has. We only have 3 more SummerSlams to go. 21, 22, and 23. So I appreciate you sticking by and watching them. I hope you like this review, and for the next ones, hit like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you on the next SummerSlam. 7 out of 10 for SummerSlam 2020. I'm Brett Mix, and have a good night.